Hi viewers, this is J. Swami, Assistant Professor of Zoology. Today we are going to discuss the process of circulation. As we discussed already, the animals they require continuous energy, otherwise the energy should be always available to the organisms, and they obtain energy by oxidation of food material, and at the same time there is a formation of excretory material, excretory products as a result of various metabolic activities, and they should be sent out. That is, in order to supply food material, oxygen, hormones, and also in order to receive or expel the excretory material, we require a system which is known as circulatory system. If you observe the primitive organisms like the protozoans, they absorb, obtain food material, oxygen, and they send out the metabolic wastages into the surrounding medium through cells, otherwise the cell membranes. And the organisms like the sponges and cnidarians, they have canal system and the gastrovascular cavities respectively, through which they actually transport the material. And if you observe the helminthes, they have the gastrovascular cavity, and thereby there is a mutual exchange of the material in between the organisms and the environment takes place. And in those animals which have the system grade organization, organ system grade organization, and which have the complex body structure, and there will be a exchange of food material and as well as gases in the long distances through the circulation. That is, the food material and as well as oxygen, they should reach all the cells which are present in the body through the circulation only. For our convenience, the circulatory system get divided into three portions. One is the blood. Blood is the fluid connective tissue. In the highly developed individuals, the fluid tissues are two types, basically blood and as well as the lymph. Both of them are the fluid connective tissues of the individuals. And in the higher organisms, blood flows in the blood vessels and lymph flows in the lymphatic ducts. And at certain point, the lymph possibly mixed with the blood. As to that of the blood, lymph also transports the food material, otherwise the gases, where actually there is no vasculature at all. If you observe the lens of our eye, to the lens all the oxygen and food material that is supplied through the lymph only. There is no vasculature, there are no blood vessels near to the connected to the lens. This we should remember. And if you observe the organisms, there will be a exchange of material and the gases in between the cells and as well as the blood through the circulation. Based upon the complexity of the circulatory systems, we have divided the circulation into two types. Based on the complexity, structural complexity of the circulatory system, we have divided the circulation into two types, namely open circulation and the closed circulation. What is the difference in between open circulation and the closed circulation is, the open circulation, the blood flows in the open spaces or body cavities, whereas in the closed circulation, the blood flows in the definite blood channels. In the open circulation, blood flows in the body spaces, empty space of the body, whereas in the closed circulation, blood flows in the definite blood channels. Let us see one by one the open circulatory system. That is, in the open circulatory system, blood flows partially in the body cavities and partially in the blood vessels. The heart, it acts like a pumping organ. It pumps the blood through large blood vessels into the open spaces, wide open spaces, otherwise the body cavities. And after the exchange of the gases and material, again blood reaches the heart through the ostia. Let us see what are the body spaces, otherwise the open spaces in the body. See here the open space around the alimentary canal. Open space around the alimentary canal is known as the peri-visceral space. And the open space around the heart, that is known as the pericardial space. And the open space around the kidneys, that is known as the peri-renal space. Peri-renal space. And the space around the open space around the brain, that is known as the perineural cavity. So here there are different kinds of open spaces in the body. All these open spaces, in those animals they have the open circulatory system, they are filled up with the a fluid which is known as the haemolymph. All these cavities, open spaces, they are being filled up with the haemolymph. They are with the haemolymph. Through this haemolymph, there is a exchange of material in between cells and the haemolymph. After the completion of chemical exchange, the haemolymph that reaches heart again through the small apertures which are known as the ostia. Let us see how the open circulatory system is. Open circulatory system here, if you observe, this is the heart, and heart pumps the blood to the tissues. Here there is a exchange of gases and food material in between the cells and the haemolymph, and afterwards again blood enters into the haemolymph. The haemolymph enters into the channels. So here the blood finally enters into the open spaces, and again from the open space there is a particular channel, and that reaches the heart through the ostia. This is a basic model for the open circulatory system. The open circulatory system usually seen in the case of animals like arthropods and the molluscans. In the mollusca except cephalopods, all the arthropods and the molluscans, they have the open type of circulatory system. Apart from the molluscans, there is the exemption, that is of the cephalopoda. The organisms like the octopus, nautilus, sepia, loligo, all these belongs to the cephalopoda class of mollusca. Except this, all the arthropods and molluscans, they have the open type of circulatory system. Okay, here if you observe, there is a open space here, blood supplied, and here again re-enter into the heart. It is a tubular heart. In the insects there is a tubular heart with many chambers, and blood supplied from the heart into the open spaces and again collected into the heart through the ostia. So these are the spaces, open spaces, which are present in the body of the insects. If you see this here also, we will observe the blood supplied into the open space and again regained, otherwise recovered through the Ostia, right? So here this is the perivisceral cavity and this is the pericardial cavity, perirenal cavity, all these are there in the insects. And the specialty of the open circulatory system is here there is no development of BP, blood pressure, no blood pressure here, so that there is a slow circulation of the blood takes place, and the blood circulation itself takes place due to the movements, contraction and movements of the body muscles of the body, and the haemolymph that travel from heart to the body sinuses and from body sinuses to the heart again. Then in the organisms like the arthropods, that is the new nymphs of the arthropods and the molluscans, it acts like the hydrostatic skeleton. The open circulatory system acts like a hydrostatic skeleton. And the organisms which have the open circulatory system, the activity of the organisms is less due to the release of limited amount of oxygen to the cells. But the insects, they overcome this problem and they become activated because of the presence of the tracheal system. The tracheal system sends the oxygen directly to the cells and thereby they become very active and they overcome of the less activity. They overcome of the less activity. So, if you observe the specialities of the open circulatory system, here due to the absence of the smooth muscles, there is a less velocity of the blood and the less BP. And if you observe, the exchange reactions takes place directly in between the cells and as well as the haemolymph. And due to the absence of the blood cells, the respiratory pigments always dissolved in the plasma. So this is a fundamental feature of the invertebrates, most of the invertebrates. So this is all about the open circulation. Coming to the closed circulatory system or closed circulation. In the closed circulation, the body fluids divide into blood and as well as interstitial fluid. In the closed circulation, the body fluids get divided into blood and the interstitial fluid. Blood flows and confined to the blood channels, otherwise the blood vessels, whereas the interstitial fluid present around the cells, in between the cells. And one or more hearts, they pump the blood into the large blood vessels, and these large blood vessels, they subdivide again into small branches and they supply blood to all the body parts. However, the blood circulation takes place only through the blood channels, otherwise blood capillaries. Let us assume the earthworm, that is from the Annelida. These are the first individuals who have the closed type of circulatory system in the animal kingdom. Right? Here there is a dorsal blood vessel, here it is a ventral blood vessel, and here we will see 4 lateral hearts, number 1, 2, 3 and 4. There are 4 lateral hearts which pump the blood into the blood vessels. And in the blood vessels there are certain valves, they inhibit the backflow of the blood. There are certain valves which inhibit the backflow of the blood. And here there is a exchange of material in between blood and as well as the interstitial fluid of the cells. Right? And then if you observe the other organisms like fish, here there is a heart supplies the blood to the gills, through the brachial respiration, deoxygenated blood got oxygenated and the blood supplied to the body parts, and again from the body parts it will enter into the heart again. It is a single circulatory system, but the entire blood flows in the blood vessels only. If you observe the transportation of the blood in the organism like the human beings, here there are two circulations. As we know, there is a double circulation system. In the double circulation, there is a pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation. What happens in the pulmonary circulation? From the body parts, impure blood that carried into the right auricle through various blood vessels which are known as precaval veins and postcaval vein, that enters into the right auricle. From the right auricle, that enters into the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, the impure blood supplied to the respiratory organs like the lungs for the purification process through the pulmonary artery. And after purification in the lungs, the pure blood from both the lungs that reaches left auricle, from the left auricle to the left ventricle, from the left ventricle to all the body parts through the systemic aorta, which turns to left, that is left systemic aorta. This left systemic aorta subdivides into branches and supplies pure blood to the body parts. So wherever the blood goes, so that is only through the blood capillaries only. So such a kind of circulation is the closed type of circulation. If you observe the specialties of the closed type of circulation, closed circulation, the muscles of the blood vessels, they have the contraction capacity so that there will be a enhanced blood velocity and the blood pressure within the blood vessels. And the interstitial fluid which is present around the cells, in between the cells, that acts like the mediator in between blood and the cells to exchange the material, gases, food and everything. And due to the presence of the blood cells, they have the respiratory pigments like the hemoglobin, okay, in the vertebrates, that is respiratory pigment in the vertebrates that is mixed up with the present in the blood cells, whereas in the case of invertebrates that is dissolved in the plasma only. And the blood volume, amount of volume of blood which is flowing, circulating through the blood vessels, that is regulated by the contraction and relaxation of the muscles of the blood vessels. So this is all about the open type of closed type of circulatory system. Here we will see in the fish single circulation and two chambered heart, whereas in the amphibians three chambered heart. In most of the reptiles three chambered heart, but in some of them there is incompletely divided four chambered heart. And in the case of mammals, here it is a four chambered heart. Irrespective of the number of chambers in the heart, all of them they show the closed type of circulatory system. Closed type of circulatory system. Here these are the features of the closed circulation. So it is possibly seen in the Annelida, cephalopods of the mollusca and in all the vertebrates. Okay, these are the fundamental features of the closed type of circulatory system. Anyhow, if you observe the benefits of the open and closed type of circulatory system, they facilitate something. If some organism like the cockroach, if it has the open type of circulation, what is the benefit by having the open type of circulatory system is due to the presence of less pressure, less hydrostatic pressure, they require less energy, and thereby, and due to the lack of the blood vessels, and they require less energy. That is, for the circulation they require less and less amount of energy. But in the case of closed type of circulatory system, here the enormous amount of the blood vessels and blood capillaries are there, and they have to pump the blood within the certain speed and to long distances, so that they require more energy, they consume more energy. That indicates that whenever you compare both the open and closed type of circulatory system, closed type of circulatory system is somewhat expensive than the open type of circulatory system. Although based upon their level of organization, some of the animals they have the open type of circulatory system like the arthropods and some of the molluscans, and some of the uh, molluscans like the gastropods and the annelids and other vertebrates, they have the closed type of circulatory system. This is all about the types of circulatory system in the animals. Thank you one and all.